this is has been delayed for a very long time. And bear in mind that this time the trial sits in with, three national security judges who are actually appointed by the government. And so they are complicit with the government, and they obviously will make sure that the process will be as smooth as possible for the prosecution. And they also have requested a no jury trial. And so all of these are closed from media. And it's definitely something that the world has been watching as this kind of as a benchmark as to how far from grace the legal system and media freedom have sunk in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Given that it is so weighted in this way, no one expects it to be a fair trial, but is he allowed any form of representation?
Well, so previously, one of the reasons why the trial was delayed is because the government barred Tim Owen, his representing lawyer, from entry. He is a British lawyer, and they went as far as requesting the court can no longer accept foreign lawyer to represent a defendant in a national security law trial because of national security reason. And as far as I know, I think the British, he was also barred from getting the consular support from the British. He is personally a British citizen. And so, all of these has shown us that the rule of law in Hong Kong has completely been demolished since the national security law was implemented.
Yeah. Some of his colleagues and employees have been forced to admit some of these charges which will work against him. Is there any doubt in your mind that they were coerced or forced into these admissions?
Yeah, we have heard already from people that are being charged for national security crime that they were for actually be tortured when they were in jail. And we can all imagine that, the questioning process of it. These are all, very friendly coworkers that he have worked with in the past, and publicly have said that they will stand with Apple Daily, his newspaper, and Jimmy Lai. And so all of a sudden it has turned. I'm sure everyone can imagine what had happened behind the scene.
Yeah. He's already 76. He's been in prison for 3 years. What would happen if he was jailed? He could face, I understand, up to a life sentence.
Well, yeah, I think everyone have the expectation that at the end of the trial, he will be convicted and sentenced to an obscene prison term. And as you said, it could probably be for the rest of his life. Now, I think this is the matter of democratic allies, countries to stand up. And today, the British and the American government has spoken up and called for the release of Jimmy Lai. And actually, the British government, for the first time, calling for his release. I think, I'm hoping that more democratic countries can speak up and really engage China and Hong Kong in this process to call for his release. As I said before, this is not a trial of him. It's the trial of Hong Kongers and all those who support democracy and press freedom and rule of law in Hong Kong. And this is the trial of kind of the freedom of all.
Yeah, it represents so much of that. And it also represents this dilemma that you yourself have faced. And you are safely overseas, but you are on a list of overseas activists. There's a bounty on your head now because you've been added to that list. How does that make you feel in terms of being, still part of this fight?
Yeah, so I left Hong Kong in 2020, and recently, a few days ago, I was officially put on the bounty list for over, a Hong Kong dollar, a million Hong Kong dollar bounty. I'm currently in the US, Washington, D.C., Yeah, the government has said, the police have said that, they have no extrajudicial power to arrest us. All that they were doing is to ask us to turn us in. And so this is obviously an act of intimidation and harassment. We all know about the transnational repression that the CCP is infamous for using in, intimidate and harass activists overseas. And we're seeing this all around the world with, China Outpost, the Hong Kong Economic and Trade Offices, the secret police station, thousands of Chinese agents all around the world. These are the people who are actively extending their long arms for the Chinese Communist Party to harass and threaten activists. I personally have received death threats for my activism in the U.S. And I think this is, again, something that democratic allies, countries, the U.S., the U.K., Australia, has to really rethink how they are going to hold China accountable. And last July, they also issued a bounty on an Australian citizen, Kevin Yam. And I'm hoping that, this time, we also have an American citizen on the list as well, Joey Xu. She is an American citizen who is working for a U.S. NGO. He was criminalized. She was being listed for things that she has done in the U.S.
Yeah.
And so these are things that we need to focus on, and countries need to really stand up and rethink their policy in China, and also amp up their multilateral cooperation with one another to hold China accountable for their human rights crime.
Frances, we really appreciate your time, and stay safe. It's something that you have to be cautious about all the time. Thank you.
Thank you.